The president and the people. Mr. Clinton begins the big push, selling health care reform to America.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. Connie has the night off. President Clinton revved up the offensive today for his all-out campaign to overhaul health care in America his way. Today's selling strategies featured Americans who can't afford health care and small businesses with big worries about what reform may cost. White House correspondent Rita Braver begins our coverage.
President Clinton kicked off his national health care drive in a White House appearance that seemed symbolically to showcase him joining his wife to lead the fight on this issue. In the audience, some of the Americans who have flooded the White House Correspondents Office with more than 700,000 letters on their health insurance woes.
Being unable to find full coverage at any price is horrible.
I often delay buying medication that I need.
My family's insurance premium went from $250 to $900 a month.
We can work through it if we will listen to the voices of the real people who know it has to be better and different.
But when the president went to a local hardware store to talk with more real people, small business owners from around the country, he got a sense of how hard it will be to please everyone. This Maryland furniture store owner claimed paying for the president's plan will force him to fire workers.
My health care cost under your current plan will triple. Mr. President, small business cannot afford this plan.
The president said he is worried about situations like Mr. Routson's, but argued that most small businesses will save money.
I argue to you that we have killed this economy now unconscionably for the last 12 years by letting health care costs go up as they have.
The president will not unveil final details of his program until he addresses a joint session of Congress next week. He predicted that in the months ahead, health care will be the #1 topic, not only in the halls of Congress, but also at family dinner tables. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
This is Linda Douglas reporting. Florist Phil Caruso worries that the Clinton health plan could seriously disrupt his 48-year-old business. The Carusos do not buy health insurance for their employees. Under the Clinton plan, they would have to pay 80% of their employees' health insurance costs. Michael Caruso says that mandate will hurt, not help his employees.
It would probably force me to lay off quite a few employees because I couldn't cover 80% of their health insurance.
To pay for employees' health insurance, the administration will require businesses with average wages of more than $24,000 to pay up to 7.9% of the amount they pay out in payroll. But to cushion the blow to struggling small businesses, small low-wage companies with average wages of $12,000 and under would pay less. The government would subsidize the rest of their share.
I think in the long run, it's really going to help us all.
Barbara Blum does buy health insurance for the employees of her small bank. She welcomes the Clinton plan because she thinks it will help keep insurance costs under control. Blum points out most small businesses do insure their employees.
That's the best we can do for our employees. And we think that it's something that makes them want to work here.
Republicans warn that forcing employers to buy insurance for their employees will further stunt the American economy. The Republican plan urges businesses to buy insurance voluntarily. Nevertheless, some Republican leaders have hinted they might accept employer mandates if that's what it takes to get health reform passed. Linda Douglas, CBS News, Washington.
$30 million in U.S. taxpayer money is heading back to Jordan tonight in the form of economic and military assistance. That money was frozen when the King of Jordan backed Saddam Hussein during the Gulf War. The Clinton administration now has decided to resume the funding now that Jordan and the PLO are making peace with Israel. The leader of the PLO, Yasser Arafat, was in Egypt today thanking President Mubarak for his long help in mediating the new peace agreement with Israel. Egypt will now train Palestinian police and other officials preparing for self-rule in the occupied territories. President Clinton is now asking Syria to join the peace process immediately. He has called President Assad twice in the last week. He's asked Assad to rein in the Islamic hardliners who oppose this new peace accord. Mr. Clinton wants Syria to cut its own deal with Israel soon. But as Alan Pizzi reports, so far there are no signs of softening in Damascus.
This was the response to President Clinton's plea that Syria cut its ties with radical Palestinians. A stage-managed demonstration by women and children shouting the case of Palestinian factions who reject the peace accord. Arafat, you are a traitor, they chanted. They weren't too fond of Mr. Clinton either. Syria's support for the 10 so-called rejectionist factions is its bargaining chip for a comprehensive peace. This is what the Syrians want back, and the Israelis don't want to give up. The Golan Heights, dominated by an electronic listening post. When Israeli troops stormed the heights in the 1967 war, it put them only 45 miles from Damascus and ensured that Syrian artillery could not hit Israel. Now the Israeli flag flies here, and there's a Welcome to Israel sign next to UN troops who separate the two sides. Israel wants a peace deal based on a partial withdrawal from the heights. Syria insists it's all or nothing. The ruins of Quneitra are Syria's propaganda showcase of why Israel can't be trusted. When the Israelis withdrew from this part of the Golan after the 1973 war, they leveled the town.
The city is surrounded from 3 sides by Israeli forces, and 1/4 of the city is still under occupation too.
High-tech wind generators at an Israeli settlement mock the desolation of the Syrian side. Israelis now cultivate land once tilled by Syrians, and tourists come to gaze down on their accomplishments. The Golan issue is at the heart of Syria's role and aims in the peace process. And until it's settled, Syria is unlikely to strike any deals or sever its ties with radical Palestinian factions. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, the Golan Heights.
In Bosnia, meanwhile, leaders of the warring factions have agreed to a ceasefire for this weekend, followed by talks next week aimed at a final division of the country. But so far, there's been no let-up in the horrors of war in the former Yugoslavia. The latest atrocity was apparently carried out by Muslim forces against a Croat village in central Bosnia. 35 Croat civilians were murdered in their homes, including children and their grandparents. Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News. Dozens of African-American suspects arrested in the search for a tourist killer in Florida. Are these arrests a case of racism? And the sinking of the Titanic. New information that might surprise you.
As expected, the shape is new and beautiful. As expected, it's quieter and has more space. As expected, there are dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. As expected, the automotive world once again revolves around one car. The new Accord EX from Honda. As expected.
Mom, where's my other sneaker?
Most moms don't have a lot of time in the morning. But all it takes is a moment to let them know you love them. All it takes is a moment to make them instant Quaker oatmeal instead of cold cereal. Whole grain, whole oat, hot nutrition. A moment of your time that makes a difference all morning. Instant Quaker oatmeal instead of cold cereal.
Keys.
For moms who have a lot of love.
Here, Mom.
But not a lot of time.
The campaign in Florida to arrest killers of a British tourist is part of an all-out bid to reassure foreign travelers. But the effort in Tallahassee is also sparking a major controversy at home. Accusations of racism by police. Correspondent Diana Gonzalez has the story.
A controversial tactic is being used by police in North Florida as the pressure mounts to find the killers of a 34-year-old British tourist.
Now they try to pick up anybody with a record so they can talk. You know, most people around know who it is, so they're trying to get the one with the record so they can snitch.
The only witness to the crime, the victim's girlfriend, described the assailants as black males. So police in North Florida have rounded up more than 50 young blacks with criminal records. Angry and anxious mothers complain the police are overstepping their authority.
My son is 16 and hers ain't no but 13.
And still no arrests, but plenty of furor over what the Southern Christian Leadership Conference calls Gestapo tactics. The Jefferson County Sheriff denies his investigation has racial overtones.
We have a human being that has been killed. Where the investigation goes, we don't pick and choose. Anybody with that thought or that mindset is probably the reason we're in the shape we're in with the problems we have in this country today.
Criminal defense expert Jeffrey Weiner calls the police strategies used in this case illegal and outrageous.
And they're using this dragnet type arrest, this violation of the Fourth Amendment, in order to make up for what should be effective investigatory techniques.
But Carla Norman, who works for a victim offender mediation program, is so frustrated by the crime problem in Florida, she supports the police sweeps.
They have no idea who the suspect is, and they feel if they can go back and look on their records and they see people with criminal records and it just happened to be all blacks, they need to pull them and see what they can get out of them.
In their zeal to make arrests, police are now being warned not to create racial tensions that will persist long after this case is solved. Diana Gonzalez, CBS News, Miami.
President Clinton is reportedly ready now to change the strategy in the United States war on drugs. Under President Bush, the U.S. military was ordered to help lead a campaign designed to head off drug shipments before they reached this country. The effort failed, as National Security Correspondent David Martin reports.
Woo! Bubba! Got it, Junior!
Hey, get your test kit. Get a test kit out.
30 Ks a kilo on the bottom.
This happens to be the largest cocaine bust ever at sea, but there have been many others like it. 200 tons of cocaine interdicted since 1990. The only problem is it's not stopping deadly drugs from reaching the streets of America.
Heroin is more available in the United States at higher purity levels than probably any time in the history of this country. We still have a significant quantity of cocaine, much of which ultimately is converted to crack.
That despite the fact the U.S. military has joined the war against drugs with state-of-the-art warships and AWACS radar planes. On this day, there are 9 warships and even 1 submarine assigned to drug interdiction operations.
The federal government spends $13 billion a year in the war on drugs, and the largest share of that goes to drug interdiction. But the Clinton administration has decided it just doesn't pay off and plans to spend at least some of that money on other programs.
Just seizing drugs, in a way, you're playing into the strengths of these organizations. And the reason is that they are well enough financed that they can simply increase their production.
Interdiction begins at the source, but American drug agents will soon have to pull out of Peru, source of 2/3 of the world's cocaine, because Congress is about to cut off their money.
The program they've had of going to the source has gone to a tiny, tiny bit of the source. It hasn't accomplished anything other than to waste $1 billion.
The Clinton administration plans to spend more money on reducing not the supply, but the demand for drugs, with education and treatment programs. The war on drugs will be won or lost not on the high seas, but in the city streets. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Stay with us for much more CBS Evening News, including a bat alert, a serious warning to look, not touch.
My doctor said I didn't need surgery for my hemorrhoids. They weren't serious, and to use Preparation H.
Preparation H, trusted by millions to often help relieve the hemorrhoidal symptoms of itching, burning, and painful irritation for hours. Trust doctor-recommended Preparation H.
Mannington Gold floors are now even more attractive. Until October 15th, just buy any Mannington Gold Series floor and you'll get a rebate of up to $100. Mannington Gold, it's the look that lasts, but hurry, the rebate won't.
Oh, we dreamed about a vacation in Hawaii for 12 years. Then we get there and disaster strikes. We're all stuck in our room with diarrhea. So I bought Imodium AD. I heard it worked better.
Original prescription strength Imodium AD stops diarrhea, often with 1 dose, instead of dose after dose of the pink stuff.
With just 1 dose, our diarrhea was gone, and so were we, out having the time of our lives.
Imodium AD, the original prescription for 1 dose relief.
I've been thinking about buying an American car. The GM MasterCard was a tremendous incentive. 5% on every purchase really adds up. I work hard at my job.
You've got to make every dollar count. I love my kids.
My wife and I are going to be the biggest influence in their lives. The 5% I earned with the GM card definitely saved me money when I leased my Pontiac Grand Am.
Being a father changes your priorities.
The GM card with no annual fee. To apply, call 1-800-8GM-CARD.
Rape in a hospital?
Who could have done it?
Wait till you hear what happened to Ronnie, and that's only the beginning.
Eye to Eye with Connie Chung tonight.
Rank-and-file auto workers will be voting on a tentative contract agreement between their union, the UAW, and Ford Motor Company. Workers would keep their fully paid health care benefits. The trade-off? lower starting pay for new auto workers. If approved, this Ford Pact would be the model for contract negotiations with General Motors and Chrysler. Our next story is about rabies, a growing and sometimes deadly health problem now threatening people from New York to Texas. Raccoons, as we recently reported, get a lot of the blame, but fact is some 80% of fatal infections are caused by bats. Correspondent Scott Pelley has more from Austin, Texas, where bats such as the famous ghost-faced bats had been simply a tourist attraction.
The Texas capital is home to the largest urban bat colony in the world. More than 1 million bats living under a single bridge. Now, Austin is putting up defenses because, as people all over the country are finding, grounded bats are dangerous. Dangerous because increasingly some of the bats are rabid. In fact, this summer at least 20 Texans were exposed to rabid bats, most of them school children.
That's going to be a stick.
Outside Austin, 16 kids are getting vaccinated.
All down. Hey, that wasn't that bad.
Cassidy Johnson and her classmates played with a dead rabid bat.
There's a slim chance that the kids could come down with rabies from this. But in that slim chance, it's 100% fatality.
In fact, this year in upstate New York, an 11-year-old girl died of rabies transmitted by a bat. New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania are the rabies hotspots, accounting for almost half the rabid animals in the U.S., most of them raccoons and bats.
She's the cuter one.
But Merlin Tuttle sees beauty in bats. His conservation group points out that insect-eating bats wipe out huge numbers of mosquitoes and bugs that destroy crops. Besides, healthy bats are shy.
Bats do not attack people. I have worked with them worldwide for over 30 years, and I have never seen an aggressive bat in my life.
Still, Austin is warning residents, look, but don't touch. Good advice when you consider that in the Texas capital today, there are 3 times more bats than people. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Austin.
Bats do not attack people. Still to come, Eye on America. Tonight, the asbestos threat. Is it as dangerous as some people think?
I try to ignore my sensitive teeth, but they hurt.
Don't ignore your sensitive teeth. Sensodyne helps stop the pain that can make you stop brushing. Could lead even to tooth loss.
Thanks, Sensodyne.
Trust Sensodyne, the dentist's choice for sensitive teeth.
What would you get if you squeezed the refreshing flavor of this orange or this lemon into a nice, plump Sunsweet prune? You'd get delicious new Sunsweet orange essence or lemon essence fitted prunes. Better hurry before someone gets yours.
As a kid, I naturally burn off anything I ate. As an adult, I ride bikes that don't go anywhere.
Take a new look at Total. More than just good nutrition, it's adult nutrition.
Oh, sure, cornflakes are okay, but I switched to Total. It's better for adults, with a whole day's worth of 12 vitamins and minerals, just 100 calories. I'd have to eat a lot of cornflakes to get all these vitamins. Total's made for me, so now I'm getting somewhere.
Total. More than just good nutrition, it's adult nutrition.
They're all angels, but boy, do they make a mess. In my classroom, I have a cabinet full of Brawny. Those thirst pockets are what do the trick. Spill after spill, day after day. At times, I lose it. Sometimes I'd like them to absorb the kids.
Only Brawny has thirst pockets. These unique absorbers make Brawny so good at soaking up spills.
Brawny gets to the mess before the mess gets to you.
She is trying to save Bosnia's war children. Bianca Jagger joins us.
And the adventurous Bruce Willis.
Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, Breakfast for Your Head.
The beginning of the new school year brings the age-old fears of new teachers, new classmates, new surroundings. And this year, a fear that can't be shrugged off so easily: asbestos. Thousands of American schools are full of asbestos, and billions of dollars have been spent so far trying to remove it. But is the fear real? And is all this expense really justified? That's the subject of tonight's Eye on America by correspondent Anthony Mason.
This stuff is real poison.
It's a killer.
So something will happen to my daughter. I don't have another child. She's my only one.
It's fear that's motivating this, not scientific reality.
The largest school system in America is shut down this week. More than 1,000 schools closed, more than 1 million students on the streets. While New York City's classrooms are searched for asbestos.
Who certifies that it's really safe? Is it your office?
Well, let's not use words like really safe.
Albert Appleton, the city's Environmental Protection Commissioner, is making certain any exposed asbestos in walls, floor tiles, or ceiling tiles is cleaned up before schools reopen. The cost, $30 million and rising.
But we'll really only know when we add up the bills.
But some public health experts like Elizabeth Whalen say the city is wasting its money.
There is a virtual consensus that the minuscule level of asbestos in the schools poses no health threat whatsoever.
Microscopic in size, asbestos fibers were linked directly to cancer in the 70s after asbestos miners and other industrial workers began coming down with lung disease. But asbestos is still present in insulation in many buildings, including some 85,000 schools nationwide, built before the 1980s. In 1986, Congress passed a law requiring schools across the country to remove or contain any exposed asbestos. The law New York is now trying to comply with. At the same time, some scientists began suggesting that asbestos isn't so dangerous after all. In 1988, a Harvard symposium concluded that the chances of being hit by lightning were 3 times greater than the risk of dying from asbestos in schools. The risk of dying from exposure to passive smoke, 200 times greater. But at New York's Mount Sinai Medical Center, where the link between asbestos and cancer was first established, Dr. Philip Landrigan disputes those findings.
There has been a group of scientists within the American and Canadian scientific community who have been attempting to downplay the risks of asbestos. Many of these people have been paid consultants to the asbestos industry.
It's a killer. Killed my wife.
Alan Fitchett's wife, Jane, was a teacher for 20 years in the New York City schools. In 1986, she died suddenly of mesothelioma, a cancer caused only by exposure to asbestos.
I miss my wife. And if there's anything that can be done to save another life, it's worth it.
Albert Appleton has heard the scientists who say there is no danger.
But we know asbestos, if given enough of it under the right circumstances, will make people die very unpleasant deaths. On the other hand, we all walk through buildings and rooms every day that has asbestos, and 99% of us will never know or be touched by that experience.
With science in doubt, what are parents supposed to believe? The price of cleaning up asbestos in schools is steep, but no one is certain of the cost if we don't. In New York, I'm Anthony Mason for Eye on America.
I really didn't want my husband to color his gray hair.
But then I discovered this, the hair coloring called Just for Men.
And now he looks better than ever.
Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes rinse. Just for Men blends away the gray for a totally natural look. No wonder 8 out of 10 wives of Just for Men users prefer it to the gray look.
It's like you took off 10 years.
And in just 5 minutes.
Just for Men. She'll love the way you look.
Some people get nasal congestion, but if you get sinus congestion, use a sinus spray like Sinex. Only Sinex has a decongestant plus Vicks Vapors, so you can feel your swollen passages open up. For sinus, think Sinex.
You're unbelievable. You're so unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable. Every day should start with Quaker Oats. Every
up and help keep you rolling all morning like the one and only hot Quaker oatmeal. Nourishment's the pure, pretty near perfect.
Every day should feel this good.
Scientists tonight report new evidence that a humongous space rock collided with Earth 65 million years ago and probably killed the dinosaurs. New measurements indicate the space rock left a crater the size of Connecticut and 3 miles deep in what is now the Gulf of Mexico. Experts in these things say they believe that the collision had an explosive force greater than the world's entire nuclear arsenal. Up in space today, 2 U.S. shuttle astronauts took a 7-hour spacewalk. 7 hours. They tested tools and techniques they'll need to fix the Hubble Space Telescope later this year. And 2 Russian cosmonauts went for a 4-hour walk today outside the Mir space station, testing engineering techniques for the next generation of space stations. An engineering blunder of the past is getting the blame tonight for one of the most notorious disasters of the century. Correspondent Bob Fall reports on new questions about what really sank the Titanic.
All this time we have blamed the iceberg, or the bumbling captain who ordered full speed ahead, or wireless operators asleep at the switch on the Titanic's maiden and final voyage. But a new study by naval architects and engineers finds that steel plates on the great ship's hull were so inferior they cracked almost like glass when the Titanic glanced against an iceberg in the sub-freezing North Atlantic.
The metal had a mechanical property that when it was chilled to somewhere around 31 degrees or less, it lost a lot of its strength. So that when the iceberg hit it, it sort of like shattered.
Gartsky adds that if shipbuilders then had used today's steel, the Titanic wouldn't have gone down as fast, that more passengers could have been saved. Today in England, one of those passengers didn't have much use for the new findings.
I think it's a load of absolute damn nonsense. And if they can't find something after 82 years to talk about and make history and that sort of thing, they must be very hard up. We know quite well why the Titanic sank. She sank because she struck an iceberg.
A Titanic crewman had boasted to a passenger, God himself couldn't sink this ship. Now the stuff of legend, symbol of foolish pride. What we're learning is the Titanic disaster is more the stuff of mechanics than of myth, and that if the new findings are correct, the ship which could not sink never had a chance. Bob Fall, CBS News, New York.
And that's part of our world tonight. Next up on CBS News Eye to Eye with Connie Chung tonight, are you safe in a hospital? You will see and hear a woman who was paralyzed in an accident and then assaulted in her hospital room. That's Eye to Eye tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central Time. For Connie and everyone here at CBS News, thanks for joining us. Dan Rather reporting. I'll see you tomorrow.
Experience CBS News.
When you move to a new company, can you be sued by your old company for what you know? You bet. Just ask Dave.
Legally, I can continue to call myself Dave.
But seriously, this man was sued for $5 million. So how many company secrets do you know? Eye on America tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
This is CBS.